Donovan Mitchell, very interesting comments. Very interesting.
Yeah, he's been doing a digital diary with Andscape all season. This was the 12th and final installment of it. Really interesting insight into his life, into his mind throughout the season. It's worth going out and checking out if you missed it. Even now going back, they're about 10 minutes each, not super long, but there was a snippet from his final diary entry that went viral over the weekend. We're going to play you the snippet, then we're going to play you the full quote, then we'll discuss it. This is the snippet that you probably heard because it went viral over the weekend.
We may win a ring here, we may never win a ring here, but I've won in life. I'm out of here. Catch y'all in 19 weeks.
So that was the snippet. We may win a ring, we may not, but I've won at life. Now,
I'm out of here.
That was part of a 12-minute conversation and interview.
Yeah.
This is the full minute 30 version that ends with the little snippet that went viral. Maybe it'll give you a little more context to what he was actually talking about. Steve, let's hear it.
So what you're seeing through this is trials and tribulations, right? Like what it takes. I hope to inspire the youth with this. Like they can kind of see like, hey, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, right? Like the NBA is great, but it's a business. It's your job. And also just give people the unique insight on, what we do. Like if you would have told me, right, like I'm 9 years in, almost a decade in, one of the best players in the NBA, I would be playing with some of the best players ever. I'd be playing for one of the best organizations ever. If you were to tell me I'd have my own shoe, if you were to tell me all these things, like, I just wouldn't have believed you. And what this thing right here can do for you as a human is special. This is my life. I get to do this. It's a child's game that we play and people celebrate and go crazy and boo and scream and it's something that I never take for granted. I love this game. As a kid that struggled in school because all he wanted to do was do recess, I'm basically doing recess as my job, right? Like it's wild. Like I'm truly blessed, man. I'm forever blessed. We may win a ring here, we may never win a ring here, but I've won in life. Appreciate y'all watching my diary this season. Donovan Mitchell, I'm out of here. Catch y'all in 19 weeks.
Oh, there's a lot there. I wonder, from a production standpoint, I'm sure it wasn't a solo project. I would have, if I were in charge of that or helping him produce, edit, distribute, I would have had a conversation with him. Let's listen to this again, and let's see if you stand by that and you want to keep that in there.
I have zero issue with
Okay, I know you don't. I'll tell you why I do. First of all, I love Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Mitchell is an absolute role model. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that about the other guys that wear the NBA superstar hat. I can't. There are some guys I can. But with Donovan Mitchell, he's holding my banner on the NBA role model. I love the guy. I love everything about him. He was the guy that formerly I had said was our only dog. He has won at life. He is absolutely right. He has overcome a lot of things to be in this position. He is wildly gifted. He did not waste those gifts. He is a winner at life. But now ask yourself, before Jordan, before LeBron, before Wemby, would any of these guys, the guys that we hold up as the true superstars, not just of their era, but of the game, could you ever imagine Michael Jordan saying what he just said?
But he's not Jordan. He's not.
I get that.
He's not in that class.
I get that. But I thought, was the guy that would cut off toes to win an NBA championship.
And I still think he is.
I'm not saying he doesn't want to win. Here's the way. And listen, that's the problem with these quotes and this kind of stuff. Everybody dives into it and overparses it, and I'm probably doing that right now. But this came on the heels of me watching Wemby play literally like the doctor told him before the game, if you lose, you're dead. And then after the game, what does Wemby say? Oh, I want to win like my life depends on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying you can always compare and say, well, give me Wemby's. I just didn't want to hear that right now from Donovan Mitchell.
But I think the context that Mike played is important because of course he wants. We've talked about it at length on this show, and I've written about it 100 times. He is the one guy who's obsessed with winning in that locker room. Within that context, what he's telling you is, I was the 13th pick out of Louisville. I was not supposed to be here.
I get it.
It's no different than what LeBron has said 100 times of like,
no, LeBron.
No. LeBron has said, I'm an inner city kid from Akron.
Yeah, but,
I'm supposed to be a statistics. I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, but Jay, let's face it. When he came into the league, he was in high school. He was on the Sports Illustrated cover.
But we're talking about beyond. We're talking about beyond the court. We're talking about life. LeBron's telling you, I'm not supposed to be here. And Donovan's telling you, as the 13th pick out of Louisville, I'm not supposed to have all this money in this shoe deal and all this. I've won. And he's right.
I hear what you're saying, but in LeBron's case, this is, I think, the most underrated, underappreciated thing about LeBron James. Michael Jordan didn't enter the league with that kind of fanfare. He didn't have that kind of
third pick.
He wasn't the one pick.
But he wasn't, but he was third.
But watch, LeBron James would have been the first pick overall in just about any draft ever.
Yes, but we're talking the third pick versus the 13th pick.
No, listen, he was a great player. He had a walk-off shot to win a national championship.
Yeah.
He played for Dean Smith.
Yeah.
I get all that. He came in with fanfare. He did not come in with what LeBron James came in with.
He did not. You are correct.
And for all of the slop that people want to throw on LeBron James, and I get it, some of it's warranted, but the one thing that I always remind people was he was never in trouble. Not that you get bonus points for that, but it counts. He was never in trouble. He, despite his failings, never gave up. He led 3 different franchises to NBA championships. That's not easy to do. Robert Horry wasn't leading anybody.
The most scandalous thing LeBron has ever been in the news for,
the decision,
is making money for the Boys and Girls Club.
That's it.
And I'm not. And I thought the decision was tone deaf. I'm not defending it.
I won't either.
But that's the most scandalous thing that you can pin on him.
I love the way you frame it, though, Jason. Because I was just going to say the most scandalous thing was the decision. You went the step further and said, "Oh my God, he raised probably millions for the Boys and Girls Club just for the notoriety alone."
Yeah.
And I know that LeBron James can say, "Hey, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm just a kid from Akron." Stop it. You're 6'9", and when you're 16, you look like a Mack truck. He could have played in the NBA.
There's a lot of 6'9" kids from Akron.
I get it. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, and it makes it sound like I'm dump trucking on Donovan Mitchell. And I hate doing that because I love Donovan Mitchell. I just didn't expect him to go Greg Norman on me. And I brought this up in the first hour. Greg Norman was probably, I'd say he's a top 10 golfer. If you're not familiar with the sport, he was the Shark, which is kind of ironic. He won 2 major championships. I think he won 2 Open championships, which is the British Open. Over there, they call it the Open Championship. But he never shied away from the fact that, oh, that's great. I want a Masters. That is what you want. And it is. That is the NBA championship. And he famously gagged it away, I think in 96. He lost 3 Sunday leads at Augusta. And then, now that's the narrative, okay?
Yeah.
And the narrative on Donovan has already been not a primetime player.
Can't win the big one.
Can't win the big one. And couldn't get out of the second round. And he finally got out of the second round. He still has not won an NBA playoff game in the conference finals. I just think he's better than that. And when Greg Norman, and I get it, I had a psychologist once, I did a story on sports psychology, and I wanted, John Vandervelde's way too deep in the weeds, but he was the golfer who famously kept hitting the ball into the water on the final, I think on 16 at the British Open. And it's a study in sports psychology and watching a real life meltdown. And I was talking to a sports psychologist about how these things happen, and he brought up Greg Norman. He said Greg Norman's another perfect example. When Greg Norman lost in 96, he came out and said, "I'm still rich." I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
What he said was, "I've won at life. I don't need a green jacket." And the sports psychologist sort of analyzed that, which is unfair to couch somebody with one statement. But what the sports psychologist told me was, when you start making excuses or rerouting the destination, what the final goal is, you're beaten. Up here, you're beaten. You now know that there is every real possibility that you won't win a Masters, or every real possibility that you won't be an NBA champion. And when you start making those excuses, you're building barriers to your own success, and that's not good. That's all.
I think two things. I think he's correct in saying that he's one at life. As a black person coming up in America, you are quite aware of the statistics of whether or not you're going to go to jail, whether or not you're going to be financially secure, whether or not you're going to have a certain education level. And in our community, generally speaking, we look up to people who are the rappers, the basketball players, but to say that you made it out of all of the other people that didn't is crazy, because he is right. I mean, 0.0000.1% of people in life attain that level. He's right. He was a 13th pick. Statistics say he ain't never going to be a franchise player at 13. He was not really the number one. He was never a LeBron James, right? He's a 6'2" guard who plays above what his stature is. He is also a dude who got a signature shoe deal. All of those things are correct. And he is correct. He should be commended because he did make it, and one of the people that actually did make it. I think that two things can be true. I think what I said this earlier, I think he's coming at it from a situation where it's almost like he understands his mortality. That realization that this game is super hard, guys are really good, and I may never win. That's a hard pill to swallow. I talk to Tyvis all the time, and he said after he got cut for like the 12th time, he had to come to the conclusion that, hey, this might not be for me. Yeah. But I got to be able to live with myself and say, okay, even if I don't win, I'm not going to say I ain't going to try my hardest because I'm going to put it all on the line. Right. But I'm okay I'm okay as a human being. I just got to keep going. Now, here's what I will come at it with. He's telling you right there, and this is a team sport. He's telling you, hey, I got my shortcomings. I'm 6'2". I done gave all I can. You seen what it is. It's going to take more than that. And I think that when you look at a team sport from a perspective, sometimes people just don't get it, right? And you got to have a unique mix. I always go to 2016, right? The unique mix of craziness of the Cleveland Cavaliers actually made it work. LeBron James was not going to beat the Warriors unless you had somebody like Kyrie Irving who was maniacal and at the same level.
I'll agree with that.
He was crazy. Yep. He was Kobe. He was the shorter version of Kobe. He played with a chip on his shoulder. But you also needed Kevin Love, who had humility. And Kevin Love was a person that would take less. You had to have
15 seconds of defense.
And J.R. Smith was crazy, but you needed him not to have a conscience. Like, he'll shoot and keep shooting. So what Donovan is telling me, and this is the way I look at this team, you got to build the team based not only on skill sets, you got to build it on personalities. What the Cavs are missing is that one person who does not care. And the only thing that matters to them is that doggone trophy. And guess what?
And that was my point, basically.
Yeah. And guess what? There are very few people in the world who are like Kobe's don't grow on trees.
No, they don't.
Jordans don't grow on trees, bro. Like, they are at this point in their lives, they are more competitive in their post basketball careers than they were, because it's just something that drives you. So if I know that Donovan has that mentality, and I know James Harden has a mentality, and I know Jared Allen has that mentality, my job as an owner in leadership is to say, what mix do I need to get? Because sometimes the mix just don't work. It ain't the fact that he's not good, it's the mix. Can I get somebody to push the rest of the people? Yeah. So for me, I don't have a problem with what he said. I think he was speaking from more of a human standpoint of, this is what I came through and this is what I was going. And I also think that he realizes that, hey man, they got Wemby out here. I just see SGA is at the top of his powers and he lost. Think about it. Charles Barkley done went through that. Karl Malone done went through that. Patrick Ewing went through that. Doesn't diminish that when Chris Mullin went through that. When Jordan was around, you just had to take that. It was Michael Jordan. So they had to actually be cool with themselves, right? Charles Barkley, Shaq messed with him a lot. But Charles Barkley got to go through it. You could be a Hall of Famer and never win a championship. So
it's happened to a lot of them.
Yeah, and to that
and
point,
that's okay too. And it is like he has won at life. There is no
Yes.
arguing
Yes,
he has
and that's
won
all he's saying.
at life. And I get that, but I could have been. I just could have done without the part that we may never win a championship here.
it hurt.
but he's being honest. He's being realistic.
But we don't want
It hurt
the
because of the-
cornerstone of our franchise to say these words. We may not win a championship.
I'm
here.
never
I
going to
just-
knock a guy for being honest. He's just being honest,
And
that's what I want. I want honesty
I know,
because
but-
we don't get enough of it. We get too much crap.
But you'd agree that he's taken a deluge, an avalanche
I
of
think-
criticism over it.
Oh, sure.
Especially because it comes after Wemby
It was
says, I feel like my life depends on winning.
The sweep hurts. The sweep,
Yeah.
because
and
it
he
puts
didn't
you
show up either.
It puts you in that perspective that when you get beat that bad, you have to come to the conclusion that this might not be in the cards for us.
This is a separate conversation, but I'm on record. I don't know that I would give him an extension because I think
Well-
he's going to. The cliff is near, and the way that he played in this postseason was not that of a
Jay,
$270 million extension.
This comment has, I was saying, well, what's our alternative? But now I'm saying, is that really the guy that you want to give $350 million?
But it's still, what's the alternative?
I know it is.
Because of
but
cap rules and everything
after
else.
watching Wemby do what he did, and the effort and the desire and the just put it all out there, we've all seen this in sports. That's what it takes to get over the hump. And his hump was the second round. And he finally got over that hump and then went 0-4.
But Donovan is, number one, he's 9 years in now, I think. And he's probably looking realistically about where he's at in his career and the fact that he's never won a conference final game 9 years in. And also, it became painfully evident to me after last season, he is not a number one on a championship team. Yeah. And I think he knows that. And he's just being real. I'm not going to knock a guy for being honest about who he is and what his limitations are. That's why it was so important to see if Evan Mobley can be that guy, to be that number one. I don't know that they have a number one. I wished it was Evan. I hope it's Evan. I still hope it's Evan. But I don't know that they have a number one on this team. And I think he knows that too.
Only hope they got is if Dan Gilbert's the competitive dude and he says, I got to turn over every stone. That's the competitive dude in the Cavs organization. It's him. So
that's actually an underrated point that a lot of people I don't think grasp. I've had so many people tell me that Dan is the jet fuel for where this organization is going to, and it's not always pointed in the right direction over the years. Yeah. But for a few years there, it was sort of
laissez-faire,
rudderless, because he was the one guy who was like, "This is where we're going. Let's go." And again, he didn't always hit the target, and he doesn't always land the plane on the right runway. But he is very much has always been the jet fuel behind that propels that organization forward.
And will probably continue to be. He's the guy that writes the checks. And without that, there's just no way that you're going to get there.